DuckTalks is part of Res TV's network of podcasts. Check out res.tv for other great podcasts.
St. Canard. I can't believe I'm about to say this, but an interdimensional rift has opened, allowing 4 supervillains from an old TV show to wreak havoc. I urge citizens to stay in their homes. Our police forces are overwhelmed, but if I understand one of Darkwing Duck's multiple catchphrases correctly, when there's trouble, you call DW. Darkwing, St. Canard is calling you now. We need a hero.
All right, Darkwing, what's the play?
DW's been waiting for this moment his whole life.
Well, after careful deliberation and strategizing, I've come to a well-researched conclusion. We are doomed!
Well, that doesn't inspire confidence.
It's the week of Tuesday, October 20th, and you're listening to episode 114 of DuckTalks. Oh man, it's been crazy. It's been a hurricane, right? You know, it's been dangerous. It's just been nuts. The last week has been absolutely crazy for all Duck fans of all ages, all over the U.S. Oh wow, it's Tuesday evening. Let's Get Dangerous premiered yesterday, and we've got a lot to say, and there's a lot of news, a lot of things to talk about. This is DuckTalks. We are a DuckTales and Disney Afternooniverse fan podcast. We're going to be covering all the news related to DuckTales and the Disney Afternoon. We've got quite a few items on our schedule for tonight, and so let's get this thing kicked off. I'm one of your hosts. My name's Mitch. Joining me, I have Pirate Steven and Josh.
Ahoy there.
Hey guys, what's happening?
Dude, man, it's been crazy. It's been crazy for you guys?
I don't feel like I've ever slept.
You probably haven't. Did you sleep last night?
So, man, the Monday felt really fun. Monday. Monday felt fun too, but Sunday felt like it was a big event going on, kind of like that feeling when we went and saw like Avengers, Infinity War, or Star Wars movie. You felt like it was an event movie. Or this Darkwing Duck special was special. So it was fun. That we attended, or I attended a live stream for a Retrobot live stream where they talked about Darkwing Duck collection and showcasing. It was very fun and informative, and a lot of people from the DuckTales community was there. And then right after that, I did randomly and not even planning it, I got a Disney Afternoon collection live stream going for the Darkwing Duck NES game. So that was fun, and we had a couple of people from the DuckTales community join that stream, and I played through the entire Darkwing Duck NES game, which was really fun and really hard. And if people watch that, they saw me struggle and die over and over and over again. Thank God for that rewind button, because I would have never finished the whole thing.
I don't know how anybody can complete that game without the rewind button.
And it was my second time playing. I had to do a practice round earlier. So it was my second time playing the game. Oh man, I died way more the second time than my dress rehearsal. And it was so, the Steelbeak, spoiler alert, Steelbeak is the villain of the final boss for DuckTales, Darkwing Duck NES. And man, that last I was like, oh, I'm going to finish this in an hour. And then I think it felt like an hour and a half after that. But
it's not like that Quackerjack fight, right?
No, Quackerjack, Bushridge, Liquidator, all those guys are easy. But man, Steelbeak gave me a run for my money. So it was just fun. And by that time, it was almost midnight. So I'm like, you know what? This thing is in a couple hours. I'm gonna
take a nap and then watch it.
I had to spend time with my wife Lisa. So not that I had to, like it was a chore, but we did our time together and watched some shows, and by that time it was 1 o'clock. I'm like, 3 o'clock's coming up, and I kind of like set my alarm, and when it went off around 3 o'clock, I like crawled out of bed and went downstairs, and watched what was a thrilling 44 minutes. That's 45 minutes, really, if you round up.
Uh-huh.
But it was fantastic. But we'll talk all about that later. Don't we have a whole show?
We do. I was giving Josh a moment if he had any major stories to share.
No, I didn't have any major stories. I fully prepared to watch this episode on Tuesday, which is today. And I know we're going to talk a little bit more of this later, but they happened to send out a lot of ways to watch this episode on Monday, so I was able to watch it alongside you guys, and it was just an amazing experience for me because it's like just brings back a whole lot of memories from childhood, and sure, I know we've had Darkwing Duck in the last few seasons just kind of like briefly come and go in the episode, but this really felt like something special, like Steve was saying, and so we'll talk more about that later. But it was just it just like never thought I would be alive at a time where we got like a real Darkwing Duck episode.
Yeah, my story wasn't quite as smooth as that. I think that's par for the course for me. Pirate gives me a hard time that I've got some Donald Duck bad luck, and it was the case with this episode again. But before I get into that, I did want to say that I'll include a link to both of the live streams that Pirate was a part of on Sunday. I wasn't able to do that, or he attended one and then he led one for the Darkwing Duck NES game. We did watch part of his live stream, the recording of his live stream yesterday, and I learned some things about that game I had forgotten. Like, I didn't realize you could block, or I didn't realize you could change your ammo.
And you needed to change your ammo. That's why you.
Yeah.
That's why you. Did you get to the part where we made fun of you for rage quitting
with the ghosts? No, I didn't get that far.
The charity stream.
Yeah, I got through the first three.
Also volunteered you and Josh to do.
Not going to happen.
TaleSpin. The TaleSpin.
Josh can do it.
I'll do Darkwing. I've never played it, so I mean, I can do it.
But you own it,
I've
right?
never played TaleSpin. I do own it. I just have never done it.
So
I'll do it sometime.
So Lexi and I, we have live streamed on the DuckTalks account before, and we were talking about it yesterday, and we might do it this weekend where we do the Darkwing Duck NES game. And now that I know how to play, because Pirate has taught me, this was information he withheld from me the first time when I did it on a live stream.
That was basic knowledge.
We
have one person comment on YouTube that said, "I can't believe no one's commented on this guy's heavy breathing." Dude, that game is stressful, right? You're playing something. Oh my God. I probably had the mic way too close to my face.
Yeah,
but
and you turn it up because you don't want to be too loud, right? So, yeah, it was good. We were enjoying it. Me and Paisley were watching it. So I want to make sure, like I told everybody, I'll include links to that in the show notes so you can go to it. So on as far as my quick story, I expected it to be available. I had been talking about that. I thought it was going to happen. I had an indicator from someone that I talked to that it was possible, but nobody would confirm it. And so on Monday morning, I was excited to get up and find that the episode was available for everyone without a subscription on Disney Now. I learned that from our account. Pirate had tweeted it early in the morning. And then, so I got everybody I told the family, I was like, it's on. We're able to watch it. Everybody gets together. There it is. I got my coffee. The kids got their cereal. I hit play and I get an error code. So I back out. I hit play and I get an error code. So I shut down Disney Now. I open it back up, push play, and I get an error code. So I turn off the Apple TV, turn it back on, open Disney Now, push play, and I get an error code. See a theme here? Couldn't get to play at all. Reached out to Disney Now, and they've got me doing some covert stuff with my internet provider to find out if they're blocking me. True story. I'm supposed to do it tomorrow. They think that my internet provider might be blocking the content, which, wow. So yeah, wasn't able to see it yet. And then I tried it on my mobile, I tried it on my phone, tried it on iPad, that we had, and couldn't get to play on any of the Apple devices. So I'm working and lunchtime comes around and I'm like, and I tried it again at lunchtime. And at the end of my lunch, I thought, you know what? I wonder if it will work on our Roku. It's a different brand. Let's just try it. And it worked. So when we got off on Monday, when I got off work, we fixed dinner, and everybody piled into my bedroom because that's the room where we have the Roku. And we sat on the bed and watched it, and it was amazing, guys. I enjoyed it. It was a great episode, and I can't wait for us to talk about it. That is the only time I got to watch it, though. I got to watch bits and pieces of it here or there today. I had it playing on YouTube in the background while I was doing work. We'll talk about that a little bit later, too. But I haven't got to watch it fully more than the one time, so you're going to get my initial reactions. And, we got a lot of news to cover before we get there, though. So you guys ready to jump into some news?
Let's do it.
Okay, first item is do it. First item is Let's Get Dangerous related. And that is, not only was it available day one on Disney Now, but it was added today, Tuesday the 20th, to YouTube. It's been up, about 7 or 8 hours now? And last time I checked, it was like 45,000 views.
Right now it's at 53,000.
53,000 views.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, a couple of things about this. One, it's free for everyone in the U.S. It is locked. If you're in another country, you'll have to find a way around that. But it is blocked outside of the U.S. It is available for free on Disney XD's YouTube channel. So if you're listening to this and you haven't watched the episode, stop now. Do two things for me. Stop now. Well, actually, we'll say three things. Go to DuckTalks on Twitter and follow us, because you would already know about this if you were following us. Then go to YouTube, watch it, then come back. I think that's 4 steps. And listen to this podcast. But it's available. And awesome news. The last time DuckTales had an episode available for free, it was the series premiere on YouTube.
Don't you mean the pilot?
Yeah. Isn't that what I said?
You said premiere.
Premiere. Well, it was the series premiere.
But also it's a pilot.
I'm a pilot. One of the things that we wanted to talk about with bringing that up, this has come up the last couple of weeks where someone has posted the Nielsen ratings reports and compared DuckTales to other Disney shows. And you see that its numbers are really low. And I want to talk about that. We kind of talked about it briefly last week. I have a buddy that I work with who is a numbers nerd. Like, all kinds of, like, he likes sports for the numbers of sports. I mean, he's really into sports, but like he knows stats. He's into Nielsen ratings. He studies that. He's got a journalism. He was a journalism major. We talk about stuff like this all the time. And so I checked in with him today and I was like, hey, listen, I'm looking at this report. I just want to make sure that what I'm reading is how I should be reading it. So I ran it by him. He said, yes, you're reading it correct. So let's talk about this for a minute. On Monday, the ratings for DuckTales Let's Get Dangerous was only 105,000 views. Okay. Now that is Nielsen ratings. My understanding, that should only be for cable. I have not seen a caveat that says it includes Hulu, but I know Hulu has a Nielsen contract program that happens too. I think that's tracked independently. I don't think that's in these numbers. But this is being compared to like Amphibia, which is 280,000. Now it's a different night and a different time. I think it's at like 10 a.m. I don't know what day, but I saw someone tell me it was 10 a.m. So it's not at the Monday night at 7 p.m., which is a horrible time. for a show. And then also, like, Mickey Mouse Adventures was $289,000, and Vampirina has, I don't know why Vampirina has 5 different listings on here, but the top listing was $372,000. Now, there's a very logical reason for why this is the case, okay? Vampirina is a Disney Junior show. Disney Junior gets a ton of views all day long because parents turn it on and just leave it on for their toddlers. So these shows get watched. They're on TVs a lot. And the demographic that's being tracked here doesn't really work out because you've got parents in the home and toddlers, and then the TV's on Disney Junior. But with DuckTales, these numbers are based off of, the 105,000 is the total views calculated from Nielsen. And the way they do that is people have to sign up for it, and they are given a tracker, and the tracker tracks what they're watching, and then that is kind of calculated for all of the U.S. It's not that they can track what everybody's watching at one time, unless you're streaming. If you're streaming, they are tracking what you're watching. But if you're just watching it on cable, that's how it's done. And so it's only 0.4% in the age of 18 to 49 was watching DuckTales when it premiered. Now, that is people there at 7 p.m. watching on Disney XD, which is a premium channel. So it doesn't have as many viewers as a channel as Disney Junior or Disney Disney Channel. So it's a big difference to compare these. And then how many of you, show of hands, watch DuckTales when it premieres at 7 p.m. on Disney XD? Yeah, I'd say the number's minuscule just of our audience, of the people listening to my voice right now. All of you stream this. Most of you streamed it at 3 a.m. Eastern time, or whatever time it came on. I think it was close to that time. But most everybody streamed it. I've streamed it. I don't ever watch any programming that way. So the thing is, Disney doesn't produce the numbers for the shows that they're streaming. So when we're talking about Disney Now, when we're talking about the other seasons with Disney Plus, when DuckTales moved from Disney XD to Disney Channel, their numbers plummeted. Within a few episodes, they were like less than a quarter of the viewership for each of the episodes when they would premiere. But that doesn't mean they had 100,000 views total, because we can see from this one episode, this Darkwing Duck episode, in 7 hours, it's got 50,000 views on YouTube. There's people watching the show. And when you look at all of the advertising that they've done and all the marketing on their channel, and then talking to other outlets with internet articles and social media and everything, there's a big push. There's people watching the show. So all of that to say, don't be afraid. Listen, if we don't get a season 4, it's not because of ratings. There's no way.
I didn't have my hand raised when you asked who watched it at 7.
Right?
What if we're watching Escape from the Impossibin, and the Impossibin opens up and Vampirina's there? They should do that crossover just to get the audience.
See, the problem is DuckTales would have to show up on Vampirina to get that audience, because toddlers are in bed at 7 p.m. on Monday night.
It'd be all the rage on the Twitter.
It would be. But you're looking at totally different animals. You can't compare them. And it's not the same audience. So don't be worried about those numbers. We've had a lot of people in our Discord, and I've seen some conversations on Twitter, people afraid. It's okay. The show would not be getting as much promotion and as much acknowledgement as it is if it was tanking in numbers. All right. Let's Get Dangerous is on YouTube. Go watch it. Just put it on and let it play. The other thing that we want... No, not other thing. We also wanted to point out that Let's Get Dangerous is now available for purchase digitally. So if you're watching the show on iTunes or Amazon, it is available. Took a little while for Amazon today with Prime Video. That's the way I purchased them, and it wasn't available for most of the morning. I think it was late afternoon, maybe even borderline evening when I checked it and saw that it was there. I updated the blog so that you would know. But yeah, it became available, but it is volume 6. We talked about this last week as well. I just kind of briefly that I thought it would be the tail end of volume 5. It ended up being the beginning of volume 6. It was available this morning on iTunes for $28.99, and it's available on Prime Video for $26.99. So save a couple of dollars if you'll go through Prime. I've been doing Prime because my girls had Fire tablets. We got those a couple of years ago, and so if I'm going to buy it, if I'm going to pay for it, I want them to be able to watch it without having to borrow my phone, right? And so I've been doing it through Amazon, although I didn't get season 2 since it was on Disney Channel, volumes 3 and 4. They get marked down. I'll probably go ahead and buy those just so I have them all together, even though they're on Disney Plus, right? Support the show. But yeah, so about $30, that's what it would cost to get it. But in the past, that surprised us because animation's done. I don't know that it's just animation, but as far as I've seen, it's mostly animation. You get your seasons broken up into 2 releases, volumes, and it might be, and this might make sense, it might be because those schedules are so crazy they don't want to ask people to pay $60 up front and then it take over a year. Can you imagine if somebody bought Gravity Falls, the entire first season, and they paid like $60 and then it took 3 years to get it? I'd imagine some people were upset. It's like people who pre-ordered Kingdom Hearts 3.
Oof. Yeah, that was me. That pre-order was like 4 years. I threw a birthday party for it every year for the pre-order.
I remember those tweets. So yeah,
I think I paid $60 for the Gravity Falls Blu-ray Seasons Collector's Edition set.
Yeah, for the whole thing.
Yeah.
2 seasons.
Which I totally recommend. And also somebody asked us if we ever thought that they would release the more DVDs of DuckTales 2017, and I don't see it unless it's some kind of Disney Movie Club special edition or something, but because it seems like Disney's doing more of the streaming and trying to get out of the physical media.
Yeah, big push. I shared over on Twitter, and I mentioned it in last week's episode as well, that there's been a major restructuring within Disney Entertainment, and the media department has been really changed to streamline how they can get their content out how they want to as quickly as possible. And I think that has led to one of our news items. Let's jump to this one before we do the November highlights. And that is, we got more news on the Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers live action / CGI movie, because you know they're not training chipmunks to play these parts, right?
I was wondering how they were going to do that.
Yeah.
They had the time to during COVID, right?
Somebody pointed out, and I thought this was a great point. I hope they go a little cartoony in their designs, because I do not want a realistic zipper. 100%. I do not want to see an actual fly in this movie.
Yeah, I don't know how alone I am on this, but my family really loved all of the Alvin and Chipmunk movies, even the really horrible ones. And
like the one with Zachary Levi?
There's like 3. Yeah, there's at least 3 out of 4 of those. But yeah, I would love to see a clone of that, but with the Rescue Rangers. I think it'd be hilarious.
In the Disney heart, because I think that's what will set it apart. It has to. I've been following this for a long time. This is actually how I found DuckTales 2017. I think it was 2015 or 2016 was the first time I heard anything about the Rescue Rangers live action movie. And I was excited about it then. I started searching around online, and it was those searches that ended up with me finding DuckTales pretty early on. And that's when I got excited about it. So this is something I've been following all along. We've had some news in recent months about the director who was selected, and I got his name here somewhere and I can't find it. Hold on. Oh yeah, Akiva Schaffer.
Yeah, Lonely Island.
Yeah, so the director was announced not long ago as Akiva Schaffer. Lonely Island. We talked about that in a past podcast. He did Hot Rod and Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping. Is that what it is? I think that's what it is. But we've talked about. We're not sure. Seems like a strange fit, but we're going to give it a try. I think it'll be good. And there was other news though about this week. Couple of items, actually 3. So 2 confirmed, 1 rumor. So the show, I'm going to see how many times I can say so. The show is now a Disney Plus original, not going to theaters, going directly to Disney Plus as an original. I think that's a good fit. The problem with movie theater releases before the pandemic was it put a lot of pressure on the movie. Movies are either bombs, either they flop or they, make records. And anything in between that is kind of ignored. And it's, considered it's not a good movie or whatever. So the theaters become a very volatile market to the point that a lot of projects are getting ignored and not picked up because, they just don't want to take the chance. Which is why I thought it was strange Rescue Rangers continued. I thought, surely they would back out of this. I want to see it, but surely they back out of it. They didn't, and that's because it's now going to the streaming service. And I think that's an awesome fit. I think that's a good place for the show. It has a better opportunity to succeed there, and I think it'll be great.
Yeah, it definitely will give it a larger audience to see the movie because it's something that's, if they have the streaming service already, it'll be something that comes up and they can watch it. And I feel like if it was in the theaters, I think kids would be interested, but I think it would be more of a nostalgic thing for people our age who grew up with it and wanted to see it and bring their kids rather than kids drawn to it like a normal computer generated movie. But I can see this being the same type of quality they did of Lady and the Tramp, where they did CG of animals as well, and it was integrated in live action, and that was part of the Disney Plus lineup when it originally started. So hopefully, it seems like with the content just being constantly put on Disney Plus, that it will get a better chance for just a wider audience to experience it. Maybe give us more Rescue Rangers in the future.
Did you guys ever watch The One and Only Ivan?
I did.
It's a great movie.
It was very good, yeah.
Yeah, and it has CGI animals in it as well, so you can kind of see some of the quality that we're going to get, because those are done really well.
Well, that one was supposed to go theaters before, wasn't it?
No, that was Artemis Fowl, which was pretty bad.
Oh yeah, but I thought One and Only Ivan was going to be theaters too, but I could be wrong.
And it might have, I don't know. It was released under the originals moniker, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this was originally said to be a theatrical movie, The Rescue Rangers, and it's moving to Disney Plus. Filming is set to begin in the spring in Los Angeles.
Oh, good. Then maybe Tad Stones could get a cameo in that.
Oh man, we have to have a Tad Stones. Okay, we have to start a internet campaign for Tad Stones and Rescue Rangers. Pirate, get on that. We need a hashtag.
Okay.
We got to get that going.
And we also need the return of security guard Tad Stones.
Oh, that would be hilarious. Or some sort of security. Yeah, I mean, he could be a security guard. Disappointing. That was a missed opportunity, Frank and Gomez, in Let's Get Dangerous. Should have had the guard Tad moved to St. Canard.
Yeah, because there was a part where the guards all rush into Taurus Bulba's lab, and I was looking. I was like, "Is one of those Tad security?" No, because I feel like I was really hoping that even if there's a reboot of Darkwing and there's 60-something episodes or 80, whatever, I wanted Tad to be in every single one as a cameo like Stan Lee.
That would be awesome.
He's the Stan Lee of Disney Afternoon, and I really want. I'm glad he's finally getting some recognition for that. And we always say he's on our. Tad Stones would be on our Disney Afternoon Mount Rushmore. And,
I mean, let's be honest. Stan Lee's a pretty important guy to us, right? I mean, it's one of those things that I still stop and go, I can't believe I live in a world without Stan Lee, because he's always been, as far back as I can remember, reading comics, Stan's Soapbox, Stan Lee's always been part of my life. and then movies, and everybody now knows who he is. Of course, in the 70s, people knew who he was from the live action stuff they were doing and everything, cartoons. But anyway, Tad really is like Stan Lee in a lot of senses. In a lot of sense, because the Disney Afternoon, he was such a big part of it, from Rescue Rangers and Darkwing Duck and even DuckTales and other stuff. And when we talked with him, he talked about how often they were working together and helping each other among the Disney television animation. I mean, Tad is the Stan Lee of Disney Afternoon.
Maybe there'll be an extended version of Let's Get Dangerous, and he'll be in there somewhere.
Yeah, it was a missed opportunity. The rumor part of this news that's really exciting is that it's not confirmed, but it is believed that Tress MacNeille, Corey Burton, and Jim Cummings will reprise their roles of Chip, Gadget, Dale, Zipper, and Jim Cummings and Monterey Jack. Jim's just going to play himself and Monterey Jack, which is great news. I mean, I can't imagine doing this movie with new voices. This has to be the original voices.
Yeah, I'm sure if Fat Cat is in it, Jim would do that one as well.
Yeah. Lots of voices on that show. Lots of voices. So that's great news. I'm excited about that. I know anytime we talk about it, we get some people who roll their eyes and just like, that's a terrible idea. I hope that never happens. That's cool. You don't have to watch it. I can't wait to watch it. All right, next news item. Disney XD November highlights were released the same day as Let's Get Dangerous. Let's talk about what a bad decision that was. You brought this up last week, Pirate. It had been a while since we talked about it, but the way stuff gets released the same day as an episode just makes it hard to follow. I think the opposite happened this week. This news was overshadowed.
I was waiting for the Escape from the Impossible Bin trailer to show up, and I'm glad they didn't put that on the same day as the November highlights, as the same day as Darkwing Duck special. But the November highlights had some great stuff in it. I hope everybody actually got to see it.
Yeah, well, let's go over these descriptions real quick. So the first episode is the Split Sword of Swanston, and I didn't even check to see if these were still airing on Monday nights. I believe they are, which I hate. Let me just be on the record saying, as someone who puts out content and makes a podcast, I hate having new episodes on Monday night because it really messes us up on trying to record. Like, I haven't seen Let's Get Dangerous but once, and I don't think I got to watch the last episode more than once. Anyway, I don't like Monday nights. Let's get it moved. That's the other campaign. Pirate, let's get that going.
Check.
Move DuckTales. So the kids pair off to find the missing pieces of a mystical sword hidden throughout a marketplace unless Fowl gets to them first. Now, we have some guest appearances here. Flula Borg from Pitch Perfect 2 guest stars as Spice Baron, and John Hodgman returns as Rocker Duck. We also get Jason Mantzoukas as Stillbeak.
Woohoo, more Stillbeak.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting that it just says the kids pair up. I think this could be one that includes a lot of the kids. That would be a lot of fun, but it is cool to see that we've got Fowl here representing and coming strong for whatever this item is, the sword.
And it was funny, too, because when I read that description, I saw Pitch Perfect 2, and I'm like, oh, man, one of my secret favorite movies is the Pitch Perfect series, and I'm like, which a cappella girl was this? I gotta look her up. And it was the guy from the Russian group that they compete against. Because but it was just he was a good actor in Pitch Perfect too. Yeah.
I've never seen those movies. I'm really shocked that you're endorsing them that way. Oh, Josh is too.
All right. Well, they were filmed on LSU's campus. If you need
I see.
If you need a background, but
my wife made me watch them, so that's my excuse.
Sure.
But Josh, it sounded like you enjoyed them.
He did. He's got the soundtracks.
I mean, I always imagined it was like a High School Musical type movie, but theatrical. Am I wrong?
It's dueling a cappella groups.
At a high school? College?
No, college, man.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You said it was an LSU. Okay. I just never seen it. I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I'll have to check it out.
Anna Kendrick is in it. Anna, whatever.
Yeah, I knew that. No, she's not Anna. Oh, you were saying her name, Anna Kendrick.
Yeah,
I got you. I thought you were saying Frozen. Anyway,
the Frozen thing throws me off.
We are off the rails. Let's go.
Anna.
So Anna is one N and Anna's two N's.
Cut it all out.
No, it's staying. This is the most awkward conversation. It's got to stay. All right, so the next episode is New Gods on the Block, and the description is the kids try to prove themselves. We got the kids again, trying to prove themselves by auditioning to take Zeus's place amongst the Greek gods. This screams Louis' plan all over it. While Storkules interferes with Donald and Daisy's date, we have Daisy Duck back in November.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Of course, we've got Zeus returning, we've got Storkules returning, and like I said, Daisy. So it's going to be a great episode. Looking forward to that one.
Nothing like Storkules messing up Donald's date.
Yeah, I'm just imagining that. It's going to be so much fun with him trying to like impress Daisy with Donald and just make it worse all the time.
He's going to be like, oh, I'm Donald's best friend. And Donald will just be like, no, he's not.
No, he's not. No, he isn't. I don't know this guy. I have never seen this guy before in my life. Quit picking me up. Why are your pecs so big?
I wonder if Celine is going to be in that one, because we really haven't got many fun interactions between Della and Celine yet.
Good point. She is not listed here, but that doesn't mean she won't show up. But she's not listed as a guest. All right, the next episode is The First Adventure. Scrooge is forced to babysit young Donald and Della as they go on their first adventure to find a powerful artifact, unaware that Bradford is taking on this mission personally. So we're going to get like a flashback to a time where Scrooge maybe first takes Donald and Della, like the first time he keeps them. So, maybe we get some Hortense and some Quackmore.
Some young Beakley in there as well, doing some spy stuff. And
then we're also going to get some Bradford backstory with this, I think.
It's also interesting from Let's Get Dangerous. I wasn't expecting the Duck family to know about Fowl being and this early.
Well, the Impossibin's the next episode, so I did think they'd find out about Fowl, but I didn't think they'd find out about Bradford. In a very hilarious way, by the way.
Wait, where's Bradford? Bradford! Oh. Well, I suppose you'd rather fly around in an unmarked helicopter.
Yes! Your little adventure fantasy is coming to an end, Mcduck.
Our reality just got a lot more dangerous.
Then we have the fight for Castle Mcduck. A bitter feud between Scrooge and his sister Matilda spreads to the rest of the family as the Phantom Blot attempts to steal a priceless artifact and destroy Castle Mcduck once and for all. I still think the stones are the stones from Isabella Finch's diary, journal, whatever they are. It's not. Is it a journal?
Yes.
Yes. I still think those stones are going to be the ones that we found out about early on with Castle Mcduck.
Here's something I just thought about today. Castle, stones, maybe we get Gargoyles reference.
Could happen.
Ooh.
That'd be fun.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So Michelle Gomez is guest starring as Matilda. I didn't know who that was, but I've seen a lot of people talk about her relationship, or not relationship. She's from Doctor Who. So her and Tennant have been alongside one another on that show. I don't know her character. I know all you Doctor Who fans are screaming at me right now, but I can't hear you because I recorded this on Tuesday. But I know a lot of people are excited about that. I think that's cool. I love that they keep bringing these characters in. It makes sense if she's got the same accent, same heritage. And, of course, Giancarlo Esposito will be back as the Phantom Blot.
Which I'm glad he's back, because as we talked about last time, once he didn't get enough backstory or screen time for as awesome as and as loved of a Disney Comics character that he is.
Yes, if he's the one that Fowl sends, and it looks like, I mean, obviously he is. So he's there to destroy the castle and to get whatever the artifact is. I think this is going to be an episode that we'll be happy with his appearance because, like you said previously, I didn't like it. I love the episode. I didn't like how he was used. But it was our introduction to the character.
And that could be a sad episode too, because if for some reason he gets what he's looking for, then that probably means something bad happens to Scrooge's parents, right? Because that's how they're still alive.
Yeah, and you know what? This season's about legacy. Scrooge is going to have his confidence shaken. This is all stuff Frank has said. And there's going to be parts where we cry. You are right. Oh, my goodness. I don't even want to watch this now. Can I just pretend like it doesn't happen?
And after they steal your heart is a Christmas episode.
Exactly.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, my. I wish you hadn't even said. I mean, you're exact. I believe you. I think that's what's going to happen.
In my mind.
You're a horrible, horrible person. So the next episode is How Santa Stole Christmas. Scrooge teams up with his arch rival, Santa Claus, to save Christmas, while Webby discovers the true history behind their infamous feud. Hugh Bonneville from Downton Abbey guest stars as Santa Claus.
Finally get to know what happened.
I think the fact that they're teaming up is pretty cool. I didn't see them going that route. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, you know, Scrooge has already had to face this in the previous episodes where, Glomgold's wonderful plan to save the Earth included him impersonating Santa Claus. So I'm sure that'll come up. I could see Santa giving him a hard time about that. I saw this on the news. Saw you dressed like me, riding a sleigh, attacking aliens. What's up with that? So yeah, lots of stuff to look forward to. November's going to be a lot of fun, lots of episodes. No news on December because we know that's your first question. That was our first question. What about December? We talked about it last week. We think hiatus. Love to be wrong, but I don't think season 3 is done yet. And at this point, when these episodes air, we'll be 3/4 of the way through season 3.
Yeah.
So there's only one block left.
Thing we're getting is we're going to have a new episode of Mandalorian on Friday and a new episode of DuckTales on Monday. So that's a really good bookend weekend.
Yep.
That have excellent content.
'Tis true. All right, couple items in Duck merch, and then we get to Let's Get Dangerous. Disney Afternoon Adventures Volume 1 is being released by Fantagraphics in 2021. That's next year, for those of you who maybe don't know.
Yeah, that was a really cool treat. And our good friend, and we're going to call him DuckTalks comic historian, Dan Cunningham, led us to that lead. He saw it on Amazon. This week, Fantagraphics has I don't know if they put it on there, but they have released a couple of things to be available for pre-order. And Disney Afternoon, the Disney Adventures Volume 1, which means we're getting multiple volumes at some point.
If it does well, and it will.
Oh, man. I put that blog out, and that has been one of the most popular blogs of the week because people are so excited. Disney Adventures was the official Disney Afternoon magazine, and it was extremely popular. I had a subscription, and these are the comics that were in that magazine weekly, and people kept those magazines because of those comics as well.
I have a couple of them
because they were really good. And the fact that Fantagraphics, sponsor of our show, they release great stuff. Even if they weren't a sponsor, we'd be talking about them. And the fact that we're going to get a hardcover edition with some of the comics from the Disney Adventures magazine is just a dream come true. Especially we're getting it next year. It's not like that other Disney Afternoon book that we started talking about 2 years ago and hasn't been out yet. But
we did have an update on that, didn't we? Did we cover that?
I don't know if it was official update, but we heard rumor that the Disney Afternoon
behind the scenes book,
Renaissance book, was delayed again to another year. So that one might not be coming out until 2022.
Yeah, we spoke with the author in a previous podcast episode. It was a great conversation, and we're very excited about the book. Hopefully the publishing changes, and maybe it gets pushed back up. But as of right now, it'll be a while. But this sounds like a lot of fun. I remember some of the comics that were in the Disney Afternoon Adventures, but I don't remember like the full stories. So this is something I've not read ever, I don't think.
Yeah, and they've been released in some comic forms, look small books, but this is like the nice on the shelf hardcover copy of these stories. And this first volume is going to be made up of 3 different stories. And the first one is a Darkwing story, and it's the Justice Ducks, which is a popular Avengers-like story in Darkwing Duck universe. And they even referenced that episode on Let's Get Dangerous. And this is going to be just that episode, and I believe it was a 2-parter, but that episode in a comic adaptation of it. So that's the first one. The second one is a Goofy movie, the whole story in a comic adaptation. But the third thing is what everybody's talking about and is looking forward to, and that is The Legend of the Chaos God, which was a 5-parter that was really the first crossover of the Disney Afternoon stories, all thrown into one. So, and I'm about to bring up my screen, but the villain in that one, his name is Solego. You might know him from being mentioned in the Let's Get Dangerous episode you just watched this week. And I'm going to read straight from the Disney wiki about him. But this, just to tell you, this comic story is a crossover between TaleSpin, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, Goof Troop, DuckTales, and Darkwing Ducks. You know, it's a big deal. And even Aaron Sparrow, who we'll eventually have on the show, hopefully soon, said that him and James were going to tackle that type of thing in the comics, like a sequel to this.
Yeah.
So we'll have to poke him about that.
And while you're pulling that up, just kind of as spoiler warning, we're going to talk a little bit about Let's Get Dangerous here as well, because the character that you're mentioning was in Isabella Finch's journal, and it's when when Huey points out that the key looks familiar and is able to track it back down to a story that's in there about this character trying to and this is where I'm going to have to fall off and let you finish it, because I've only seen it the one time and I'm not completely sure that what I was going to say is true. Let's Get Dangerous, he was trying to like merge worlds or something.
Yeah, open up alternate dimensions through crystals, which I don't know if that's. It's been a while. I had the originals, but like I said, my Disney Adventures magazines, I don't know where they are right now. But I'm looking forward to the hardcover to read this one again. And I'll just read to you what it says on this Wikipedia page. It says, originally a sorcerer from long ago, Solego gained immortality and ruled the world with unmatched terror, to the point where he was often spoken as the Chaos God, for it was believed that saying Solego's name was bad luck. We probably shouldn't have said his name a couple of times just now.
I'm going to say it 3 times and it'll appear.
Yeah. So a young wizard named Deshane eventually defeated Solego, and his mind was imprisoned in a crystal. So one of those pages you saw in Let's Get Dangerous was a bunch of different crystals. And Solego's power was sealed in a gold medallion. They were sealed away for the crystal medallion. If they were ever reunited, Solego would be restored.
Could that be what Fowl's trying to do?
That could be what Fowl is trying to either accomplish or stop from happening. We don't know,
all the adventuring. They're afraid Scrooge will get them.
Yeah, because even Bradford in this episode's like his adventures are dangerous. I mean, Magica and all this stuff. So that could be some kind of twist in the end. And maybe Stilego is the main villain from this season, or if there's a season 4. I mean, this stuff, it is a really cool picture of him that we blogged about or tweeted or something. And he looks like a really good villain. And like I said, if you want to know more about this character, you should definitely get this book. I know I'm gonna get I'm probably gonna get digitally and hardback, because this is it's a game changer. This volumes of Disney Adventures coming out. If they hopefully they release as much. If they release them as much as they do, Fantagraphics releases as much as they do the Carl Barks and the Disney Masters, we could get all the comics from the Disney Adventures magazines.
So do you realize you just said that Bradford is trying to stop Scrooge from bringing the greatest villain? So Bradford is not the villain in this story.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe Scrooge is. I don't.
Unknowingly.
I don't know if the comic says that, but
Yeah.
Am I ever wrong? Come on.
I mean, I think it, based on a lot of stuff that I've read from Frank, I think it's right.
But yeah, and so the 5-part story, each one of the stories went into a different part of the Disney Afternooniverse, which we made that up, by the way. Disney Afternooniverse was us. What I mean, I feel like that is huge. And when I saw that, because that blog came out and that information came out right before the episode, and when I saw something go in, I was like, "Dang, that is cool that we're gonna get the stories."
Yeah, you were messaging us after I saw it
too.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say the stories are gonna be probably remastered in the best edition you can find these things in, and I don't know. I'm just really excited for it.
That's really cool. Well, and that blog's there, including links to the pre-order, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so you can get yours pre-ordered for when they are released. Was there a month or a date provided, or was it just next year?
Yeah, and Fantagraphics and really all book releases this past year have been like fallen from the release dates. This one is tentatively scheduled for June 22, 2021.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll be following that, and I'm sure we will be talking about it more as we progress throughout Season 3 of DuckTales. We've got one more Duck merch news to just to note, and that is Fantagraphics has revealed Disney Masters Volume 17 and 18. It's going to be a while before these come out, though, right?
Yeah, because currently we just reviewed Volume 12. So 13 comes out in November, 14 comes out in November. Like I said, it's all getting pushed around because of COVID.
Yeah.
There's also a Carl Barks volume that's coming out in November. And then Disney Masters Volume 15 will be in January, which is a really cool one because that's another Phantom Blot volume. And then Volume 16 is going to be, we switch it back to Donald, and that one comes out in March. So Volume 17 was announced, and that is going to be called Mickey Mouse, the Man from Alcatraz. So that one's coming out in May. And like I said before, the odd volume numbers are usually Mickey and Goofy, and the even numbers are Donald or Uncle Scrooge. But sometimes they have Mickey and Goofy stories, or vice versa, Donald stories in each other's volumes. It all depends on who the featured Disney Master artist is for that particular volume.
Yeah.
And Volume 18 is going to be called Uncle Scrooge Pie in the Sky.
Ooh, nice.
So if you're a comics fan, there's a lot of great books. And even if you're not a comics fan, just get into comics, man. There's a lot of great backstories in there that like we said, when we were watching these episodes, we probably wouldn't have caught if we weren't trying or just absorbing all the comics that we've been reading lately.
Yeah, when we started doing the podcast, we had people immediately telling us, you got to check out the comics, you got to check out the classic comics. And they were right, because these are great, and we're enjoying them. Great releases to come, and we'll be following that. But for now, let's get dangerous.
This is the city of St. Canard, a metropolis overrun with the worst kind of crime. Super crime. But a purple protector stands alone, dutifully watching for...
Oncoming traffic!
All right, so we're going to do our 30-second recap of the episode of Let's Get Dangerous. It was a 44-minute episode, so it should be fun. And it is number 2.
Oh...
Sweet. We'll give you 60 seconds because this is a double episode.
Okay. I should have watched it. Although I watched it like 1.5 times. I wish I finished watching it the whole time.
So the first half's going to be covered.
The first half's going to be covered. All right. I should have thought about this a little bit more. Okay.
I did it the way you guys normally do it. I just went into it really, really hoping it wasn't me.
Yeah, me too. And I've seen it 8 times. And I'm still glad that you got picked.
All right.
I don't know what I would pick to say.
I know there's a lot. All right, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna try to shoot for the minute.
Okay.
Dewey and Launchpad want to meet Darkwing Duck to go on Dewey tonight. They want to see all the different crime fighting, but then there's no crime because Allison is the best mayor ever. The way they find out that someone disappeared because Goslin is trying to bring back her grandfather who disappeared. And we find out that Taurus Bova is bad. Oh no! He brings in all the amazing villains from Darkwing Duck. So they have to fight all the supervillains. And this becomes a super villain town, even though there was no villains whatsoever. And now they have to stop Taurus Bova, all the villains, without getting sucked into another dimension that looks a lot like the old school DuckTales. They defeat them. Everybody gets back to their normal place, and we find out Fowl is actually hiding in plain sight. I don't know how to. Okay. Woo.
Yeah, it was 53 seconds. I mean, you got the gist. It's just a recap, so you got the gist of it. It was a great episode. Let me pull up the information.
So much in there. I was trying to make sure I hit everything.
That's the thing. I mean, it's one of those episodes that you want to include as much as you can and give it justice. Yeah. Just like it's referenced to Justice Ducks. So this story was written by Frank Angones and Colleen Evanson. Which there was some talk on Twitter about their partnership on this one and what a great job they did. Also some behind-the-scenes stuff. It's really good. Check out Twitter. Storyboards. There are a lot of people who have worked on this episode. We have Stephanie Gonzaga, Catherine Marusik. Let me try it again without the... Catherine Marusik, Crystal Ureta, Matthew Carbonella, Ben Holm, Rachel Peck, Sam King, Stephen Park, Brandon Warren, Haley Foster, Diana Huh, and Jake Wyatt. And then the episode was directed by, this was split up between Matthew Humphreys and Jason Zurich.
They all did a great job.
Every one of you did a great job.
Yeah. And I know you guys only watched it 1 or 1.5 times, but every time you watch it, you find something you didn't see before previously. Like, and there's one time that Goslin says King Gear.
Yes,
and I don't think I caught it for like the 5th time.
No, I caught it the first time. It's when she jumps off of the rat catcher.
Yeah, it was like really quick.
Yep. It was one of those he said it moments, like with the Christmas episode in Scrooge. But I like the setup that, Mcduck Industries has the lab in St. Canard, and just so happens it makes for a great opportunity for Launchpad and Dewey to kind of shadow Darkwing for a little bit for the show for Dewey Tonight, which has been upgraded from NITE to NIGHT. I did notice that. So that was really fun. It was a good setup. We also had Bradford at the beginning of the episode, kind of setting up the conflict there. And when we're introduced to Taurus Bulba, dude was charming. I was like, wait, is he not going to be a villain? Surely he's a villain. And then he got a little too charming, and that started to tip it off, as if, knowing the character didn't tip it off already.
The voice acting, James Monroe just like completely knocked it out of the park. Like I felt like that was Taurus Bulba, this new version of him, and it was. I wanted him to sing too, kind of, because James Monroe is good for his singing.
Yeah.
Scrooge McDuck, what a momentous honor! Ooh, let's take a picture.
The pleasure is mine, Bulba.
Call me Taurus, or Terry, or whatever you want. You're Scrooge McDuck. And you must be Huey.
You know me?
Junior Woodchuck Robotics Champion 4 years running? I'd hire you right now if you weren't too short for the lab coats. And Louie, huge fan of Louie Inc. Groundbreaking stuff, young man.
We were really doing good work until a monster tried to kill me.
You know, I have a grizzled old monster after my money, too. But enough about Bradford.
Yeah, he was great. I mean, even when he got creepy, that voice just was so mellow and awesome. Really enjoyed this version of the character. If you've never seen the original character, he was a great villain. Wasn't used a whole lot, but yeah, this version was awesome. Loved the setup with him propping up Huey. This is Huey's Huey-centric season, and letting Huey know that he knows about him. And then there's a turn a little bit later, and he's like, Scrooge, this kid's asking a lot of questions. Don't you think he should be in school? I thought that was a great line.
He knew about Louie Inc. too.
Yeah. And they found some common ground with Bradford being the monster that's after his money. That was another great line. But I mean, that setup's great and all, but you know what we were here for? It was to see Drake in the tower with all the gadgets, and we've got an answer. This was a question we raised last week. How is Drake getting all these gadgets? And that ended up being
Launchpad's pal Fenton hooked me up. His talents are wasted designing doodads for that hack Gizmo Duck. Between you, me, and the motorcycle, Fenton can't stand the guy.
Which made for some great conversation and some interactions later.
And that's something I caught on the second viewing as well. It was funny because Darkwing's talking up Fenton how great he is, and he's like, between you and me, don't tell him. But Fenton really does not like Gizmo Duck. And you look over at Launchpad and Dewey, and it's like they do these.
They know.
That Fenton is Gizmo Duck, and they don't want to tell him.
Yeah. And he says he's wasted.
I laughed so hard at that. It was like, that was classic animation there.
It's perfect. And so we find out, we're introduced to Wanda, and we find out that crime is down in St. Canard because Alson's cleaned up the place, which is pretty cool. And
you said Wanda, which is interesting because I feel like Fenton programmed Wanda, or that's his technology.
It would be.
And that is voiced by the same person that is the voice for Gandra.
Yeah, Jamila Jamil.
Yeah, so that's just kind of funny that he would make a robot, or not robot. He'd make this computer tech, and give it the voice of somebody who he has a crush on. That is so funny because a couple days before, we were on the Discord talking with people, and one of the people in our Discord is, and I don't know how to say it exactly, but it's Pyatt. Forgive me, I don't know how to say your name there, but he brought up the fact that maybe Wanda was Fenton's new operating system, and we were geeking out over the fact that he would use the voice of Gandra, and then when we realized it was Darkwing's, we were like, oh no, that wasn't it, we totally missed it. And then now we find out that Fenton had programmed it, so it could have been. That's hilarious. I didn't catch it after the fact. Right. So. Yeah, and Darkwing's Lair was really fun. They had a whole bunch of different hidden things in there, like we previously talked about, the cold weather Darkwing suit, which was from a classic Darkwing episode, and he has his lunchbox that he got hit in the face with, that's on the wall, and then 2 arrows, which if you watch my playthrough, that's from Darkwing Duck NES, which is one of the power-ups. You can use a gas gun arrow to defeat the villains, or really you don't use it to get into higher places. So you that arrow will suction cup onto the wall and you can climb it.
I did not get that reference because I didn't understand that aspect of the game.
Come on, man. Because you rage quit it. But also they have, I like how he has Darkwing Duck action figures all over the different shelves. And I noticed one during around the time of the Dewey Tonight scene, or it might have been another scene, but he has if you know the Darkwing Duck Playmates original action figures from 1991, there was a really cool 12-inch version it's highly sought over by collectors. It is the definitive, I feel like, Darkwing Duck Playmates collectible or figure. And he has the little size ones, and then there's a 12-inch one. So I thought that was really funny how they had that in there.
Yeah,
y'all noticed that too, right?
Yes. Well, you pointed it out. I don't know if I noticed it or if I got a tweet that showed it, but I did see it in the episode. So we go from that, and the Lair's full of Easter eggs. I'm sure we're going to get a blog out as soon as we have opportunity to catch our breaths. Focusing on some of it because we've done his past pad, with the trailer and everything, which a lot of that stuff moved over to here. But so we got the character and him, just kind of doing the superhero thing, but not really knowing what that means. And then we get him out on patrol, looking for crime, and it doesn't go so well. But then they run into Goslin, so we get the introduction of the character, and I thought she was great. I loved the voice actress. I think when we recorded last time, we had not had the promo that had her talking. I think we talked about how we hadn't heard her yet, but we had a few days with her voice before the episode actually came out. But I thought she did a really good job. I loved it. We talked about how we wanted it to kind of be a new direction, but have a little bit of the raspy feel. And I think it was great.
The defenseless at every turn. Also, I've got a cookbook. Self-published.
Oh, cool. So is stopping that crook Taurus Bulba on your busy schedule?
You! How did you... What did...
I totally found your secret headquarters. The residue from your smoke bomb contained traces of salt water, so I knew you'd be by the bay. Also, that kid is live streaming. It was not hard.
Yeah.
Team Gear, this place is huge!
Hey, Dewey!
I especially love the Dewey and Goslin scenes, and I thought it was so funny how he's told her, I could be your Webby.
And she's like, what?
Yeah, those two characters had, pretty good chemistry. It was funny. And he was willing to follow her into an adventure just like Webby follows him, which was a lot of fun. And then, so they go back to the Mcduck lab in order to get the key for the ramrod, because we do get the backstory of how Goslin's grandfather helped invent it, and things went wrong. He went to Bulba, and then he disappeared. So really serious, and I like how they pulled that together, because in the original Darkly Dawns the Duck, you have those stories like Taurus Bulba wanted the ramrod, but he wasn't involved in its creation that we know of, right?
Right.
He was just like a crime lord.
Yeah, criminal.
Yeah. So I like tying those together. I thought that worked really, really good, and we got a name for her grandfather. It's Thaddeus. And that's when we begin to learn that the ramrod, which we'd seen in the past promo when we'd talked about how it can create anything out of nothing, and that's why Huey had a problem with it, but it actually is opening up portals and pulling things through, and then when everything kind of hits the fan, that's how Bulba pulls the Darkwing Duck villains over, and we got some really great action out of those characters.
Yeah, that's kind of when we started to see the change for Bulba, where he was kind of like the smooth talking scientist to be kind of showing his true colors on. I mean, we don't actually know what he did with Gosling's grandpa, but we do know that he did something to him, whether it's in another dimension or not. But he gets hit by a blast, lose parts of his horn, gets a scar on his face, and so we kind of see the true colors and see how actually strong. I mean, because he's a bull, obviously he's going to be strong, but he's just a character that's got a lot of power to him, and I think that's going to kind of set the tone for the rest of the episode, where how dangerous he becomes, because he then brings in the bunch of villains from I guess it's the Darkwing Duck TV show, from that dimension, or wherever you want to put it, and he brings them in to make this big scene to basically destroy Darkwing Duck on live TV. And so we kind of see that progression of like, okay, being smooth talked to slowly like becoming that mastermind. We kind of see him from the original series, where he kind of slowly, like, he thinks about everything in the original series, where he's hiding in plain sight as a supervillain, but then slowly he becomes more stronger and stronger and more, I guess, more evil by the minute. And it just kind of shows that same kind of progression they did in the original series.
Yeah, and I like that in the moment that they have that flip, it's dramatic. So it is like a slow build-up in the episode. And then when you get to, like, he's fighting Launchpad, or Launchpad's really just kind of wailing on him. And you get that moment where he realizes they know what's up. Darkwing's figured it out, and he just turns and just starts wailing on them. And it's a great moment. So during this time, Darkwing and the team do not win the day here, and they barely escape, lose the key. Meanwhile, Scrooge and the boys are locked up. We see the boys, and Bradford shows up and ends up locked up as well. And when the boys are able to easily escape, and they see Scrooge on a screen jumping up and down screaming, "A sea monster ate my ice cream." And it's a callback to an old episode.
Yeah, the episode's called A Whale of a Bad Time.
And then when Bulba comes in, he ends up sending the boys there too, and they've got more of their 87 design, complete with hats, in the scene. Everybody's it's kind of on repeat. It never stops. It never changes.
But they you could tell that the hair is the same as the 2017 characters.
Oh, I like that.
So if you look a little closer, you could tell that they are a little different, but they do look like the original series. So one thing though is as they're going to that scene, they do come across Bushroot.
Oh yeah.
And I thought it was kind of strange that they didn't give Bushroot any kind of like voice, like he was just like grunts and groans. But I was excited to see Bushroot, and he was like really powerful, because I feel like in the original Darkwing Duck series, he controlled plants, but this one he was like very aggressive, and I felt like what?
You remind me of Groot, like, because Groot even had those moves where he would throw his hands on the ground.
Yeah,
I would have loved for him to have said, "I am Bushroot."
That would have been good.
You know, Keith Ferguson would have been the voice actor for him, probably.
So, frankly speaking, Frank over on Tumblr, he hasn't answered a lot of questions, but he did answer a question about this. He was asked, what was the story behind What was the story behind Bushridge Design in Let's Get Dangerous? And he said, this is what Frank said. He said, the story is that the Twin Beaks episode of Darkwing Duck absolutely traumatized me as a kid, and it felt like a fun opportunity to play with that version of his design. So he said, I like the idea of him being a bit more primal and elemental, think like Swamp Thing, a man trapped in a monster. And so that's what he was pulling from. I thought it was really great. I kind of miss old Reginald, but we'll take it. Maybe he's not Reginald. Maybe we get a Reginald in the future. Or Reggie.
I thought Liquidator was really fun. He had some great lines, and Keith Ferguson sounded like the original Liquidator.
Yeah, only watching it the one time. I don't really know that I can compare it, but I did like when he started talking in the ad lingo. I thought that was great. Darkwing doesn't want to fight anybody. He realizes he's in over his head, but he takes a nap, and we get a few keys of Gosling humming, the song from Darkly Dawns the Duck, the color song that her grandfather taught her to turn on the original ramrod. I think, first viewing, I think that was it, wasn't it?
I am awake and ever vigilant.
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna get some rest, and I thought you could use some too.
Okay, it's okay. Gotta add tissues to the list.
Maybe I'm off. I only saw it one time.
Where was that?
So when she's tucking Darkwing in on the couch, I think she's humming you remember the song?
Yeah, I remember the song. I didn't catch that.
I think it's just a few keys. It's not much, but it sounded like it to me.
It's possible.
Yes, when she's tucking him in, you kind of hear the bars of the song.
And so that's very reminiscent.
But yeah, that's totally from that episode.
Oh, it might have been the music in the background.
I know we're kind of past this when talking about this episode, but I thought it was hilarious when Scrooge didn't know who Darkwing Duck was, and he's like, "I was in your movie. I helped you defend the Earth from the moon. You dressed as me," and he still didn't know who he was.
Yeah. Now, do you think he didn't know, or he just wasn't going to admit it?
He probably didn't know.
Okay, I wasn't sure. Yeah, it was a great moment. So Darkwing decides to go and face them on his own. It doesn't go very well. And then, of course, Team Darkwing shows up, and they fight their way to the ramrod. The ending's a lot of excitement, and a lot was going on, so I don't remember a lot of it as much as I do the rest of it.
There were a lot of heart moments, and there were. I mean, Gosling wants to leave, and Launchpad's like, "Look, Drake's been up all night, and he can't sleep because he's trying to reunite you with your grandfather." And then she sees that, and that's when she kind of gets on board with this guy's pretty cool. And later on, when she's sleeping, he goes off to to confront Taurus Bulba, and it's kind of funny though. All of the villains, like, he's just standing there menacingly.
He's never done that before.
Yeah,
never done that before.
To back up just a minute with what you said about Launchpad with Gosling, that also happened with him and Drake earlier, because Drake didn't want to help Gosling, and he says, "You got to help her. You know you've got to." And so he kind of pushes them together. It was a really nice way that they did that, and it was intentional. Frank and Matt and them have done a lot of interviews since, and so talking about the way Launchpad kind of brings their family to be part of the Duck family is an important aspect of this episode. And I like how Launchpad's like, "I'm the uncle."
Yeah, Uncle Launchpad.
I'm Uncle Launchpad.
I need to pack snacks.
Yeah.
Bless me bagpipes. And I like how he's labeling him. He goes, "Gosling, you're Dewey. Lucky." Yeah, and you're Launchpad, Darkwing, and I'm the crazy uncle.
Yeah, he keeps telling Drake that, you're living my dream. And so it's great when you get to the end and he gets to be a part of it. So, but sorry, Pirate, I wanted to make sure we made that connection because you reminded me of that Launchpad is really the thing that pushed them together.
Yeah, I think Launchpad was great in this episode and every episode he's in, and he's almost surpassed and probably surpassed Glomgold as being my favorite from this whole series.
Yes, it's been that way for me for a while. I love Glomgold; he's hilarious, but Launchpad is a special character for me, and I like that, and kind of reminiscent of his DuckTales versus Darkwing personas. from the original series, he was a little different in this one as well. I mean, he was the same character, but he seems a little more capable. He's more in his element, and so he comes off differently. And it's explained in the episode as being the fact that he's a big Darkwing Duck nerd. So this is like the one thing that he knows a lot about. So he's able to help.
And I love when Launchpad dresses up like Jambalaya Jake.
That was awesome.
And it's one of those Halloween costumes where it's like the fake feed, and he's riding the alligator. And then Goslin is the Bugmaster villain. I mean, those were extremely funny callbacks.
And she's like, "Are you sure this is going to work?" And he's like, "Absolutely." And then when Quackerjack comes to the door, he goes into this impersonation it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious.
This is a dumb plan. I immediately regret it.
Jambalaya Jake and the Bugmaster come to help take out our nemesis, Darkwing Duck.
Ah, C-string villains. You recognize him?
We done tussled with that purple polecat like a gator in a henhouse. Woo-wee!
Ah, the more the merrier.
So they face Bulba and they win, but they're not able to complete the mission. They're not able to bring Goslin's grandfather back. She can't find him, although they do everything they can to help her try. They are able to save the ducks, and I guess the ramrod was to the point of being destroying itself and maybe taking the entire planet in existence with it, but they're able to stop that with she uses her crossbow.
Yeah, she has to choose between continuing to look for her grandfather or saving everybody, and she has to make the tough decision to destroy the machine so that everybody doesn't get destroyed in the interdimensional shift of everything kind of getting sucked in. So that was kind of a little bit of an emotional moment right there, but I think it kind of brings her and Darkwing more together because now they are their family is each other rather than their biological family, because she doesn't know where her grandfather is.
And I like in this episode, although they become a family, he doesn't adopt her yet.
Yeah,
they don't go that route. They don't end it on that note. They're crime fighting partners, and he even tells her, I need a sidekick. So they become crime fighting, which was part of the story in the beginning too, that he didn't want her to get involved and get hurt. But they're going to fight crime together, and he's going to help her try to get her family back. I like that that's where it's starting. Man, it's a setup, and everybody on the internet's been talking about that. It's perfect. It's a great episode.
I think the best line is almost right at the end with Launchpad, who's saying he's going to work for Mcduck during the day. He's going to then come and crime fight all night with Darkwing Duck, and he'll sleep on the way back and forth.
Yeah, and you kind of got to guess where it goes from there, because as far as the villains go, we still have Negaduck, and we have Steelbeak, and Taurus Bulba's still around because he didn't die, did he?
Didn't he get sucked in or no?
I thought he got sucked in.
I thought he got pulled back. I don't know. I gotta watch it next time.
Yeah. Either way, his character in the original goes through quite a transformation that they could use that. And with the setup here, that they're trying to find her grandfather. They know he's in another dimension or whatever, another universe. So they're going to be trying to figure that out. We got set up for this big villain who's got control of these powers. There's going to be some crossover here. They could always bring him back, even if he did get sucked in, and they could bring back the Darkwing villains. I know that we all shared that. We didn't like that about the episode.
We had hoped that they would stay in that dimension just to kind of continue to build upon the Darkwing universe right there, but they got sucked back into their comic book dimension. So
yeah, because I could see Jim Starling finding them and being like, oh yeah, and putting together a true fearsome five.
Yeah, maybe that's what the route they're going to go at some point. or even Taurus Bulba comes back and he wants to have revenge, and he builds his own makeshift one just to bring them back.
There's a lot of ways they could go. I mean, honestly, they surprised me with this. I knew they'd do a great job, but I didn't know how they were going to do it. And it was a fun ride. I feel like it's only just begun. And, we've talked about it a lot on the podcast that we feel like a spinoff is inevitable. I feel like the promotion of this episode, of this event, and everything around the story and how it's set up, I mean, it was intended to be a pilot. And actually, Frank and Matt have said this in interviews, that every introduction of a Disney Afternooniverse character is treated as a pilot for that show. So it's something that they've intentionally done, but it really feels like a real pilot. With a lot of places to go.
And just from the beginning of this podcast to now, we're up to 61,000 views for people watching the original or the full episode on YouTube.
That's awesome. I mean, that's over half of the views that it received the night that it aired on Disney XD.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's what I'm saying. I mean, once you count Disney Now and you count iTunes and Amazon and everything, I'm sure it's on Google Play. Is Google Play Games or anyway? I don't use that. But once you include all of those, we're well over. I bet it's 400,000 at least right now. I might be overstating it, but it's 300.
Yeah, if international could watch it, then it'd be ballooned even further.
Yeah, that's always a bummer. I hate when that happens, when we're sharing it, talking about it, and then we start getting people. I mean, I don't hate that they let us know. I hate that it happens for them, that they're not able to watch it while we are. I don't get why there's those international holdups. You think that could be coordinated?
Yes, but it's funny when Goslin says that she's gonna gauze it or something, and Dewey goes, I can't believe she's doing it.
She's doing it, yeah. Yeah,
that was funny.
That was all fun, and I like that she eventually gave into it to get him to help her. Not in like a manipulative way, but realizing that she needed the help and that he could help her. I thought she seems to be a great character. I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with her. I know Frank and Matt have said that there's more to come with the character, and there's one of the articles, and I'll include it in the notes, but one of the interviews that they did, they were asked if there was a spin-off series coming, and Frank's response, actually, let me pull it up real quick and I'll read it and we'll end with this. Because I sent it to you guys, right?
Yeah.
You sent me so many things that said Disney Afternooniverse today, and I just went,
everybody's using it now. So Frank said, "We love these characters and have so many more stories to tell with them. We'd love to keep exploring those stories in whatever format as long as we can." Listen, folks, there is a Disney Afternooniverse coming. I just feel it. I think that this is all continuing for a while. Still hopeful that we get a season 4 of DuckTales. I don't want DuckTales to end and other series to begin. I'd love to see some way, because Frank's even talked about other crews being able to continue the stories in some of these interviews. But Disney Afternooniverse is being used a lot. Talk about spinoffs in a lot of different articles. It's all paving the way for it. Listen, they wouldn't be putting it out. I mean, this is smoke. There's fire.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like they're testing the waters here, and if they get a good response, I think we might see some more stuff in the future. So get out there, watch this episode.
Yeah, it's not an if, it's when.
Yeah, well,
and
the 30th.
Make the announcement.
It's the 30th. The 30th anniversary is here, right? We're almost there. So this announcement would be big for that. And with that said, that's going to be it for this episode. So until next time.
Stay dangerous.
If you can dream it, you can do it.
Stay gone, Wilden.
DuckTalks is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds or audio clips played on this podcast are the property of their copyright holders.